We know people have short memories. And as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. Happy All Up in the Business Wednesday. You are locked in with Joe Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And, you know, there's no special reason why we're playing much. Maybe there is, though. I can think of a way that we could connect this to something we're going to get into later. You know, a little bit. But for right now, it's Jill Munroe. And, you know, we're bringing more than the headlines. We're bringing context, questions, and commentary that cuts. So tonight, we are getting into Jemele Hill. She is reminding people that real freedom means learning how to clock the transactional energy that comes in around you, sometimes in work situations, and how she learned to balance that. So we're going to get into that as she discussed the lesson that she's learned in departing from ESPN. We're also going to be talking about Damon Dash. He continues to lose his legacy. He might be forced to now sell his film rights to state property as well as his Roc-A-Fella chains over a defamation lawsuit that has been going back and forth for years. We're also going to talk Stephen A. Smith. He says, stop blaming him for Shannon Sharpe's job, for what's going on. He doesn't control things. He controls some things, but not all. So we're going to get into his statement. And we're going to talk a little bit of Kirk and Rasheeda. They are standing 10 toes down on their marriage, even if the timeline looks different than yours. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. You already know what this is, your front row seat to the culture. Now, before we get into that, of course, I got a little conversation starters, a couple of things to get you bubbling. I can't remember if we talked about Kevin Gates targeting LeBron's wife, Savannah. I don't think we talked about it on here. Well, Kevin Gates made a video where, for whatever reason, he feels as though LeBron picked wrong with Savannah. He doesn't like the way Savannah looks at him, at LeBron. He said he much prefers the way the white girls look at him, and that, you know, he has an issue with it. Why? We have no idea. I think sometimes, you know, when men see what they view, these type of men, not all men, okay, catch that T. You know, solid relationships, they like to pick it apart and try and get some attention, because Kevin Gates and his girlfriend, Brittany Renner, she of Basketball Wives, she of, you know, social media fame, and her book and all of the things. Basketball Wives drops May 5th. She is a new cast member in full hijab. Get up. Were courtside last night for Lakers versus Timberwolves. Now, when Savannah caught wind of the video, she posted, I think it was Nicki Minaj, like, what's even going on? I'm just here minding my business, staying hydrated, moisturized, and all of the things. And LeBron posted something about his queen. I suppose Kevin thought he was going to get maybe a Stephen A-like reaction to maybe get some fire to his brand by sitting courtside doing the most. But LeBron did the king thing like he normally does and ignored that man. Andy?
Does Kevin Gates have an album dropping soon?
Well, Brittany, he probably does. But like I said, Brittany is coming back to Basketball Wives, and that's May 5th. I'm sure he's going to be making an appearance on there. So, power couple, brand heat, blah, blah, blah. Right? Speaking of powerful ones, Michael Jordan just opened his 4th free medical clinic in North Carolina and plans to expand nationally. Not just for PR, but because he believes healthcare access is personal. And he said it's a mission statement of his. So kudos to Jordan, keeping us all involved in all the ways, expanding into healthcare. I think that's nice. It's important and quiet. And Snoop Dogg, I don't know if he's still your guy, but your guy Snoop Dogg has signed a new media deal with NBC Universal to turn Death Row into a film and TV brand. Death Row Pictures is officially in motion. They are looking at putting out Snoop's biopic. And we know he signed a deal with them for sports coverage coming off of his success at the Olympics last summer. I know people are mad at Snoop, but he's still making moves. And one last thing, Jeezy is giving Thug Motivation 101 the black tie treatment. It is the 20th anniversary of that album, and he is going on tour with a full symphony with DJ Drama as a special guest starting in June. It's not coming to LA though. Andy?
I just want to say that I know that this is going to be fire. If you was a fan of Jeezy when he first came out, that particular album, the production on that album, so to hear it on a symphonic level,
yeah, it's going to be amazing.
I can only imagine.
Right. I think that's going to be really good, but no West Coast love for us. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back, and you are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So, before we get into the trending topics and headlines, first of all, if you want to get in on this conversation, 800-920-1580. Of course, we're on all social media at KBLA 1580. Me personally, Stiletto Jill. Hit us up in the YouTube chat. They're already chatting in the chat. You can join us there. And since it's Wednesday, where we get all up in the business.
All up in the business.
I am joined by entrepreneur, business strategist, author, co-founder of Glow and Flow Beauty and Slay Hair, Damon Haley.
Yeah, welcome in. Thank you.
So we're going to talk a little bit, Jemele Hill. Well, before we get into that, shout out to Damon Wayans. Papa's House has been canceled, his CBS sitcom, after 1 year, he and his son. And on to the next. We know that family keeps it moving, but I am kind of sad that it didn't get to find its complete footing, I guess. I don't know if maybe right sitcom, wrong network. I don't know, but we know they'll keep it up in the future. So I just wanted to, because we've been talking a lot of Wayans and legacy as of late. So
great pieces when you talk about my girl, Wendy Raquel Robinson, and you have Essence, and you have the dude from the Cosby Show. It seemed like it was some nice pieces there, some familiar pieces and chemistry.
And his granddaughter recently, Damon Jr.'s daughter, recently joined the cast playing Damon Sr.'s daughter and Damon Jr.'s sister.
Oh, okay.
So that episode just aired, I think, this past Monday, and next Monday will be the final episode. So, anything can happen. We'll see. So shout out to them. Okay, so Jemele Hill had an interview with the Jasmine brand. Shout out to the Jasmine brand. And she recently, she reflected in the interview after being asked what the lesson she learned in hindsight after walking away from ESPN, something that, kind of she held true while she was there that she had to learn about once she left. So she explained that leaving a major platform, a major company like that, it forces you to reevaluate your relationships. And sometimes, I can say this from personal experience, sometimes people you think are really, really close with you and that will outlive that company, it absolutely does not. It does not. And so Jemele talks a bit about that and what she learned from that experience. So let's get into that.
Okay. When you look back at your ESPN chapter, what's a lesson you had to unlearn once you left?
Well, I guess the one thing that the entire ESPN experience drilled home, it was something I thought I knew, but I think when you're someplace for 12 years, you get naturally comfortable and you build relationships, you build friendships, you build alliances. And so it starts to feel like more than a job. It starts to feel like a personal relationship. And what I had to unlearn after ESPN was that all these relationships are transactional. The ones that when you're working for an employer, and even though it might be people there at your job that you like, it might be a supervisor you really adore, who you feel like is looking out for you. It might be a president, whatever is the hierarchy in your particular industry or company. Even if they make you feel as if, what our business is known to say, we're like a family. They always tell employees that until we not, right? And then, and so I had to unlearn and really adopt the transactional nature of this business. Now coming into it, I thought I kind of knew that, but again, I got comfortable there, and that entire experience reinforced that, we're not here for long. It's like it allowed me, to kind of use, I guess, a bit of a bad analogy. It allowed me to see myself as more of a mercenary. I'm just paid work. I'm just for hire. That's all this is. And so that allowed me, I think, to make more clear-cut decisions and less emotional ones.
So I think that there's an important message in that, especially now. I don't know about long-term viability as far as companies. People switch jobs much more frequently than they have in the past. And if you're talking about something like media, where there are conglomerates that consolidate, buy each other out, different things like that, longevity is a gift or a curse, depending upon how you feel about being someplace for a long time. But it is not something that we see as often as we have in the past. But I do think there is something to be said about, we all say we understand that we have work relationships and so forth, but people are human. And when you step away, you'd like to think that some of the connections you made are genuine, but I don't know. DH, I know this is a topic you've discussed in your book and as well as, have watched play out. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, the one thing I heard her say is that she knew what it was like going in. So something happened over her 12 years that made her think differently. And so shame on her. And she realizes that all of the great relationships, all of them aren't great. So she used a lot of extreme terms, all or whatever. I'm sure there are a couple of relationships that held true, but not as many as she thought. And so I think that when you're in the game of corporate America or in a culture, which is a derivative of a cult, if you will, and she's in that sports thing where it's her job, most of the people that she comes in contact with are at play. Like when we worked our stuff at Nike, most of the time we performed when other people were playing when we were working.
Facts.
So there's this whole thing in sports and entertainment and kind of stuff that it's play. We're doing what we do, but we happen to get paid for it. And sometimes it's not a clear demarcation of friend, professional colleague, etc. So I think it got blended for her. I know me personally, once I was off the boat, I was off the boat. It was clear. And for her, probably once she wasn't ESPN anymore, you're not ESPN no more. You're not one of us. And part of our friendship is you being one of us.
But I think that sometimes, too, it's bigger than that, just not what happens in that insular environment when you wherever your company or the situation is. I think if you even look at, I know there have been times like, so I started off in the music industry. Mm-hmm. So obviously we went through a lot of contracture and, turnover. And one thing that I did notice that initially I was surprised about, but then, I understood, is the outside people that also don't really rock with you in the same way anymore when you don't have the same access or you don't hold the same benefit. I think that we talk about industry friends and networking, right? And I think something that people forget with networking is there's time invested. And even in a mentor-mentee relationship, the mentee is giving something to the mentor as well. And that is something that's cultivated over time. But I think especially in this social media era, people think just tapping in or I said, hey, on your post, I gave you a like, I gave you some engagement, that there might be tighter bonds than what really are. And let's face it, in entertainment, people, you see jokes about it all the time, how, especially you transplants, no disrespect, but when they meet people at an event or a function and it's like, oh, what do you do? I didn't realize that people did not ask, what do you do, as often and as forward facing in conversations as they do in LA in entertainment and sports. I didn't, because that's what what I grew up around. That's what I was imbibed in. So I didn't realize that is kind of frowned upon. And I mean, I knew, but to the degree it is, and you see it here, people will kind of, the conversation will slow fade. If it's not something they feel like they can connect with, they can utilize right away, because people that come to LA or enter into the entertainment or sports space, I feel as though they have a purpose, and they are purpose driven for the most part. And if you don't fall into that plan, they have no use for you, and they're going to keep it moving.
I can see that. I mean, yes, people come here to be stars. People come here to be in sport, like say sports, entertainment, media, etc. So they are purpose driven, and their purpose is to network, not socialize, to advance and not stay stagnant. So are you going to help me? No? Okay, let me get to the next person that can help me. But I do think there's a human part of it. And so what I heard from Jemele, it was a human part that she felt that she had friends. And when she wasn't on the boat anymore, the friends didn't even wave goodbye.
Right.
You know, the friends didn't engage or at least say, hey, how you doing? You know, type of thing. Or enough of them didn't. And she mentioned presidents and managers and all of that. So to be somewhere for 12 years and to feel like that means that, at least in her situation, she wasn't cuddled as a coworker, as a former ESPN person. And you think that's part of the family. I mean, I went through a divorce, but I'm not shaming everybody who was that part of the family.
Right.
It's still, hey, I still get birthdays and all that kind of stuff. I don't act like they don't exist or that they didn't mean something to me. And that's where the family thing, I always thought that was a tricky thing. That whole, we're a family in business, that's kind of new. And
Is it?
Well, I never got that. When I started my career, I was at Chevron. No one said we're a family. I didn't get the Nike thing, we're a family. I was around HBO, Coke, Pepsi. I didn't get that. That became a later, and when I say new, that might be 12, 13 years. I don't know. I never got into the family thing, and I have a family. I don't need a family. I got a very big family that I love and all that. I don't need a replacement at work because it is just work. We colleagues, we cool, we friends, and some brothers, sisters, etc. You included, you know.
I know. I wasn't taking that personally. No, I'm just
saying. But like, you know, we ain't never said we family, but we are.
No, I know.
You know,
yeah,
so,
you're too deep in this.
So yeah, no, I think it's. I'm sad because it's another one. You know, Carrie Champion didn't go out with a good feeling, you know, and so now it's and Mike Patrick was an ESPN dude, an old dude, he's 60, who just passed away. I'm sure people thought him as family. So it gets to, how come you're not family and you've been there 12 years and you did a great job and you're still relevant?
Andy?
I'm curious to know how much of her relationship with Michael Smith, you know, might have impacted her feelings, because I know their relationship was very synonymous together at ESPN. They did Sports Center together, and you know, once they got released, I've seen Jemele Hill do her own thing. I've seen Michael Smith kind of do his own thing, but I've never really seen them collaborate on any projects since.
So I am going to say that I believe most of that statement she was making, not all, was possibly about him, because I know the flip side of what Jemele went through and what got SportsCenter ultimately canceled. When it went from Numbers Never Lie, which was the show at first, which was Michael Smith and Clarissa Thompson, I think, and Jalen Rose at first, and then Jemele came on. Michael and Jemele had a relationship from before. They almost dated at one point in time. They were friends. They knew each other. He brought her on. It locked in. It became his and hers, and it became sort of a cult classic. What is lost, what people forget in all of that happening with Jemele and Trump and the high profileness of all of that, is Michael lost his job too.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And though he's been Peacock being one of the places that he is at, he had the show with, I can't remember the gentleman's name. They had a duo show.
Michael
Holly, yeah. They had that show. Michael Smith has been under the radar almost since that happened. And the heat, in a good way, that he had on him seemed to be extinguished in what was going on with Jemele. Not because of Jemele's fault, just as fallout of the situation. He stayed on with ESPN to finish out his contract. He was still, you know, it's just like his positioning in it. He wasn't the main one. He was just kind of collateral damage. And so I'm not saying that they are not friends, they're not, or anything like that, but I do think their relationship took some hits just by nature of, that man had a family too. So, listen, the chat is bustling over. Lucas Frank says, maybe Jemele just has an abrasive personality, which might be good on camera, but not so much off camera. Someone like Amanda Seales comes to mind. She used to get on TV a lot, but no one liked her. Morris Phillips says, today everything is about a brand. How you go about creating your brand is everything. In the corporate arena, the word family is used as a euphemism, which, of course, and it's used to get the people going and different things and stuff.
And we know families are dysfunctional.
Right. You don't like everyone in your family. You do not agree with everything that everyone in your family says. But when it comes down to it, for the most part, that's family, right? So I think it's an important thing to recognize and remember as you move forward in your career, no matter what the status is, no matter how close you are with individuals, it's still a business relationship. That's right. What I think about.
Yeah. Because I'll say one more thing about family, too, is that family, you're connected by DNA, you're connected by culture. When you come into a business environment, it's alphabet soup, it's gumbo, it's a mix of, it's fruit salad, it's just a mix of so much. To say you family, it probably doesn't really exist, but they use it to just bring people together, and it's just not a great term. It's like a family reunion. You don't know everybody at the family reunion, so you don't go hard like it's Thanksgiving dinner, so.
Indeed. Yeah. That's not shade. That's just perspective. When we come forward, we're going to get into Stephen A's comments on this Shannon Sharpe, situation, plus more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Island with 4 things you should know on the Black Information Network. A permanent memorial for those killed in the Bourbon Street terror attack is coming to the French Quarter to preserve the memory of those impacted by the New Year's Day tragedy. A Catholic group is calling for the censure of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was called out by the Catholic League after she posted on social media that evil was being defeated by the hand of God, allegedly in reference to the death of Pope Francis. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation has revoked dealer licenses for 35 auto dealers statewide following investigations into illegal activity. Violations included selling directly to consumers and operating without a required security bond. The grandson of Jimmy Carter isn't expected to be on the ballot for governor in Georgia next year. Former State Senator Jason Carter said this week he doesn't plan to run for the seat. I'm Mike Island on your home for Black News First, the Black Information Network.
Out to Irvine for a crash on the 405 southbound at Culver Drive. The right lane is blocked, and I'm looking at the slow drive right now that is backing up away from Jamboree. The northbound side of the 405 crowds up as well away from Sand Canyon it looks like it stays pretty slow ahead towards Culver. Now we're also looking at Costa Mesa, more slowing from the 55 as you continue to Brookhurst in Fountain Valley. Delays loading up on the 10 eastbound out of City Terrace. From City Terrace Drive, you're on the brakes ahead. It looks a lot better passing Rosemead Boulevard. And still very tough out of La Cañada. 210 westbound crowds up from the 2 and stretches to the 118.
Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California. Then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives, not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California. Zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If you were watching the Lakers-Minnesota game Tuesday night on TNT, you might have heard Lakers coach J.J. Redick yelling profanities at his players during a timeout in the third quarter. A nearby TNT microphone picked up Redick using the F word several times, including this line, "What the F are you guys doing?" Redick was upset with his players for letting Minnesota cut a 22-point deficit to 11 with 7:40 left in the third quarter. The Lakers got the message. They went on a 9-0 run to regain control of the game and pulled away for a 94-85 win to even the series. Redick's angry timeout might be a turning point in the series for the Lakers. Game 3 in the best of 7 is Friday night in Minneapolis. The NFL draft begins Thursday. At the moment, the Rams and Chargers have not made a trade to move up. The Chargers have the number 22 pick at the first round. The Rams' first round pick is at number 26. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the flames subside, who ensures that the stories endure? At KBLA Talk 1580, we're committed to preserving the voices that shape our community. We know people have short memories, and as long as this Black Talk radio station is on the air, we will not let Altadena be forgotten. We are honored to announce that the Altadena Historical Society will officially archive our recent town hall alongside every episode of Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. This is the show of record, the definitive source for tracking Altadena's roots, resilience, recovery, and reunion. These stories will now live on for students, scholars, researchers, and journalists seeking truth and legacy in the months and years to come. Because history isn't just made, it's honored, it's recorded, and it's passed forward. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit CASMPvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
2 years ago, promises is all I heard. Wait a minute, let me finish. 2 years ago, promises is all I heard out of your mouth. And now you wanna walk away, boy, and tear down the walls in this house. You used to tell me sweet things in the morning time. And all you do is hurt me and think that everything is fine. You better be careful what you say to me.
Welcome back in. You were locked in to KBLA Talk 1580. Andy says, this is a special dedication going out to one Shannon Sharpe, Shay Shay. Your boy, Hall of Famer. You should have been more careful. So, we've talked about Shannon a couple times this week. As you know, this is the story that continues to give. But we haven't got DH's perspective on it. And we also haven't talked about what Stephen A. Smith did. He went on his podcast and his YouTube channel, and for 20 minutes, he addressed the situation, his positioning, basically that, yes, I'm an executive producer. Yes, I went and got Shannon to bring him on First Take, but I have no control over what happens from here. He says that the higher ups are aware of what is happening, and they are taking a close look at everything. He reiterated Shannon's stance that this is a shakedown. He also indicated that he may not have used the word shakedown if he was in that situation. What he said was he didn't know if that was the best choice of vocabulary to utilize given the subject matter. He also alluded to Shannon's statement and the releasing of the text messages and the alleged victim, or the victim, however you want to put it together, not only government name but social media OnlyFans handle. So, you guys know the deets. Shannon Sharpe is being hit with a $50 million lawsuit for sexual. I should clarify something. Last night I mentioned a $10 million settlement that was allegedly in negotiation. It should be clarified that settlement offer allegedly came from Busby's office first. So, not that Shannon's lawyers offered to settle, but that this was what was presented to them. For that mention, Shannon has maintained he is going to sue Busby for defamation, indicated that Busby targets Black famous men. We have had this conversation here on this show about some of his tactics and things that have come about that for quite some time. Damon, I would love to hear your thought. Well, should we play Stephen A. first, or do you want to give your opinion on the suit and Stephen A?
Let's hear Stephen A.
Let's hear Stephen A.
In my perfect world, this equates to Jay-Z, where the case ultimately dropped and Shannon is allowed to continue on First Take and continue to thrive and shine. And not just that, and have an illustrious career in the podcast stratosphere, doing Nightcap with Chad Ochocinco, doing Club Shay Shay, and ultimately gets this $100 million deal that he was all over the news about to sign just a couple of days before this report came out. In my perfect world, he moves on. And somehow, some way, we find this all to be false. But it doesn't seem like that's transpired. Has been at the behest of his lawyers, not just himself. I can tell you again that when I spoke to him, he is emphatic in stating his innocence, that this is a shakedown, to use his words. How wise is it to use those kind of words when a civil matter of this nature is out there? When you have a podcast and you have advertisers and sponsors and you work for ESPN and they have advertising sponsors, I don't know. What can we say if any of us were in that position and we felt or were proclaiming we were innocent? I don't know. And I'm not about to pretend. I just wanted to make sure that I echo to all of you that the only reason.
So, those are Stephen A.'s thoughts. DH?
You know, Stephen A. is smart to protect himself by using quotes and loose language, because he tends to use those kind of loose language when it's to his benefit, and when he can wiggle out and say I didn't say it and all that kind of stuff. So that's odd that he wouldn't be as strong either way. He really played the gray. Secondly, $50 million. I don't know what that. I don't know. And I wouldn't say I'm as experienced as Shannon Sharpe. I'll keep it there. But I don't know what I could do to a woman to warrant a $50 million payout when I know that the King family got a $100 settlement for a government agency saying they had something to do with MLK's murder. And they only got $100. And so I would just share that I've been around athletes, I've been around entertainers, and I do know that the temptation is on a scale that I wouldn't believe up until maybe 3 weeks ago when I saw some other stuff I didn't believe I saw. But it's hard. He's a single guy. We know Shannon. He promotes the pills and the all that kind of stuff. And he's a target like most of anybody who's – think about it. He, like you say, $100 million contract on podcasting, and somebody wants like half of that.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So I feel for him. I do hope that he countersues. I hope that he gets resolved of the scenario, but he's not behind bars. It's a civil suit.
There were no criminal charges filed.
Criminal charge. So it's about the money, but what Stephen A. said about sponsors, about public impressions, him even have to entertain it.
He's already lost some stuff.
It's so unfair. Yeah, it's so unfair because, once again, it's not a criminal charge. And like I said, $50 million, I'd be curious to know, what's the woman's life insurance policy? What's the woman's life insurance policy? Is she? Does the powers that be to say if you die you worth X amount? Do they match up to $50 million? If so, why are you worth that alive? And that's cruel. And I know it's cruel, but just number wise, we talking business. Is your life insurance $50 million? Well, yeah, you should maybe get that. But let's talk about that number if he is true. Because if I'm on the jury stand, that's the kind of stuff that we talking about. Me and the other 11 in the back. If you did it, if you did it, you guilty. Okay.
Right.
But now let's talk about the money because we talking about money. We're not talking about criminal stuff. We're not talking about morality, ethics, or whatever.
But here's the thing, because a lot of people are having the morality and ethics question because Shannon could have been her grandfather. She was 19, 20 years old when they met. He was about 53, 54 at that time. Granted, it was before the takeoff and ascension of Club Shay Shay, so he might have been more willing to roll the dice and play the games or whatever. They obviously, to me, it looks like they had a sub-dom relationship, that they were into some kinks and things of that nature. People say, well, why didn't he go for a black woman or an older woman? I feel like the things that Shannon seems to be into probably weren't holding weight with some older women, and you hear a lot about black women and what they will and won't. And I'm not saying black women are freaks or that they don't do whatever.
Oh no, black women do everything that other women do. Women do what women do.
I know.
Women
I'm not saying.
Women do.
I'm not saying that, but I think that the perception, because I know when I was coming up back in the day, people would say like, guys, athletes, regular guys, like black women don't give head. They don't do da-da-da-da, things like that, and that is some of the reasons why they said that they would like others at that time. That is a rumor that is followed and things like that. But I also think that there is a different, and then we will finish the rest of this when we come forward. But I do think that there is a difference that in the way sometimes white women or other women move and present in especially the early stages of a relationship that differs from the way that black women interact. And I say this as someone who, has spent some time with some white girls getting active. Like when I say getting active, I mean, hearing how they pursue things and position things, growing up, professional things, entertainment or whatever. There is a difference. Lucas Frank says, why would you get rich and famous to date like a peasant? We'll answer that and more when we come forward, because I actually know the answer to that. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Joe Montaigne. Let's talk about veteran homelessness, because it's not just a housing issue, it's a human issue. Right now, we need LA property owners to open their doors and give veterans a safe place to call home. With guaranteed rent and dedicated support, you can be part of the solution. Learn how you can help. Email houseurourvets@lacity.org.
At Providence, health equity is the foundation of our community health initiatives, ensuring care reaches those who need it most. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. African Americans face a higher risk of life-threatening issues like hypertension, the number one cause of stroke. 55% of Black adults have high blood pressure. The good news is 80% of heart disease is preventable with healthy lifestyle changes and patient-centered care provided by the Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. From routine screenings to advanced procedures, Providence provides comprehensive care for the heart conditions that overly impact our community by ensuring patients receive treatments tailored to their needs. Let's stop the trend of being 30% more likely to die from heart-related problems. Take charge of your heart health with world-class cardiologists who deliver the compassionate care you deserve. Visit providence.org/SoCalHeart. That's providence.org/SoCalHeart to request an appointment.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Okay, first of all, my favorite thing that I say about athletes, especially entertainers too, is they love a referral. They love a referral of jewelry. They love a referral of cars. They love a referral of women. Most, not all, but most women who date athletes, I'm not talking about your high school sweethearts or whatever, but sometimes they evolve, will tend to date another athlete. Why? Because it's hard to go back. Why does the guy want it? Sometimes athletes are ego-driven. Me too. Oh, he dated her? Me too. Oh, he has that car? Me too. So that is some of it. Now you say, why would you want to date a peasant? First and foremost, are you going to jump if I got 20 million and you got 15 million? Will you jump? Will you jump as high? I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just putting that out there. Also, I mean, when you have money as a man, so I'm told from some of these guys, I don't care what the girl has because I got it. I don't need to have her do it. I need her to be available to me to do the things that I need to help me to do what I need to do, whatever that may be. Keep the house clean, manage the checkbook, whatever. But I don't necessarily need her to be rich. So that's an answer to your question on that right there. DH, you have anything else to add?
No, I think once again it's an unfortunate situation that continues to come up with guys, black guys, and women, and so it's just tough.
And the one thing I will say, you guys don't get mad at me, but I feel like allegedly Shannon was the type of man that avoided certain types of women. Right? that maybe resembled him and had a preference for others. And part of that preference for others might have been the illusion that they are more easygoing, that they are more, like I already mentioned, involved in these other activities. And, Shannon, the Unk persona, just got popping really within the past 5 or 6 years. Shannon didn't have that before. So I think that there is a different type of attention, though he's always had attention. These new women are different. This game is different. If you saw some of those text messages she sent, allegedly, off the chain, doing old school saying, off the chain. That, like, that's different. Even their conversation sounded to me like there might have been some words in there that set off some things. But I don't know. These are just things that I've heard. Andy?
Once again, disappointed in our brother. As much wisdom as he, shares on air, what his grandmama done told him. You know what I'm saying? For him to go through this situation, how scary he is to even hop in an elevator with a woman.
But I told you, I believe certain types of women that he takes that approach with. Right. He met this young lady at the gym. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, yeah.
Understood. I mean, he interviewed, what's her name? Carisha. That could have been perfect for him. I mean, she likes the golden showers, apparently. That was perfect for you, Brother Shannon. And she probably would have kept her mouth shut.
I believe she would have, but guess what? At 31, she might have been too old. No, I'm just playing. Wow. I don't know. I'm just being facetious. But I think, there are other things, because that's a referral thing. Not that it's advertising or anything like that, but you're aware of some things, like you just mentioned. Carisha mentioned that she likes some situation. She likes a little wildness. So that could be a link, but it was not a link. Why? Because I believe what it seems like is, one, I don't think he wants a high profile individual. And two, he probably wants someone, from the sounds of it, maybe that he could hands on the wheel a little more.
Also, I don't want to demonize the allegations, right, of what's the activities between the two.
No, it'd be consenting adults. That's their business. If that's what you want to do in the privacy of your bedroom, we listen, we don't judge.
But
we listen, we don't judge.
The reason why I bring that up is because of the whole Diddy situation too. Right. Yeah. And I just think now being open about how freaky you are is kind of being demonized in a lot of ways.
It always has been. I don't think that it's new. I actually think that in this era, they have a better chance of outliving that, because we are, in theory, more open to alternative lifestyles and things of that nature. Do you know what I'm saying? I think had this been, you think about it, it was 2010 when the allegations came against him when he was at CBS. There was a restraining order and things of that nature. Got him off the air very quickly. If this went down 15, 20 years ago, there wouldn't even be a conversation, is he going to be off air? But there also wasn't as much self-controlled media as well. You can't really silence him on YouTube because that's his thing. If he's not on ESPN, yes, it's a hit. But Club Shay Shay, Nightcap are what they are, right? And they may lose some sponsors, but we mentioned he got the little pill thing, and that might work right into it. You think about Dwight Howard. We are, by the way, little spoiler alert for you guys, I know who's presenting Dwight Howard. Well, at least one individual. With his Shaq. Yeah, which I think is lovely. They're dropping their conversation with each other tomorrow to hash it out. But Shaq is going to be on some cap because he's not going to admit to all of his feelings. But it's going to be good. But Dwight Howard, look how many people are still associating with him. Dwight Howard's greatness can't be questioned. Obviously, he's going to the Hall of Fame. He helped the Lakers get a ring. He was a beast, early on in his career. But we found out some freak things about Dwight, and they were public. But now people are coming back and rocking with him. I can't say that I feel like had the same situation come out 15 years ago, as much love would be shown for him given the circumstance and some of the things.
Well, we're seeing a lot more freaky stuff.
I mean, it's always been there. Social media.
It's always been there. You know, I've been to the Playboy Mansion before social media, right? So it's always been there. And I think it's desensitizing us. Yeah. And similar to Andy, I'm not demeaning the young lady's accusations at all. If it happened and she's awarded something, great. Then we talk about the award, and that's where I was going. Let's talk about the award if you get to that extent. But I'll just say, we didn't, Shannon Sharpe got that Mike Jones thing, back then.
They didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me.
Right?
Yeah, because cleaned up Shannon,
We weren't thinking about him, like before Cat. That.
Shannon done cleaned up, always kept his physical together, but, he got a little gear, he got a little stylist, got those teeth together.
Because he was on the crappy sweaters before, right? I mean, but I'll just say that's how fragile it is. We were talking about $100 million deal. Like Stephen A. got $100 million deal. And now I doubt if he gets it.
Yeah. So listen, before we go, I promised you the Dame Dash story, so let me give it to you really fast. Dame Dash is one ruling away from having his intellectual property auctioned off, including his rights to the film's state property, his jewelry, and anything left from the Roc-A-Fella era. The situation is, in 2022, Dash was placed in order to pay $850,000 for falsely claiming ownership of the 2019 film Dear Frank, which he was booted off of the executive thing, probably for doing some Dame Dash things. And in 2025, he lost another $4 million defamation judgment after the filmmaker Josh Weber, he called him a thief and a D-head on Earn Your Leisure, which is a podcast that talks financial things. So he's refused to turn over his financial records, missed court dates, ignored mediation orders. So that's what's probably going to go down. For all Dame Dash talks and all the chatty pattyisms, Dame has been doing bad business these past couple of years, and a lot of it is from ego unchecked. That's my time, y'all. Thank y'all for rocking when all up in the Business Wednesdays with Damon Haley, DH. Follow him on social media at Damon Haley. We'll be back here tomorrow, 6 p.m. doing it again. I appreciate you guys. Good night.
Now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot, they all on me. Before I came up in the game, nobody showed me love. They see me in the club and used to treat me like a scrub. They wouldn't holler 'cause my dollars went.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Island with 4 things you should know on the Black Information Network. Former New York Congressman George Santos will be sentenced Friday after previously pleading guilty to wire fraud and aggravated identity theft.